Okay. Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Good. And I make some more copies because there's some more people here that's this evening. I think I maybe like enough, no? And you're like, so very much.
Ascolta, non mi sa
People by the brother, they want my GGGs. Okay, so this is basic English, right? So my name is Josiah Carelse. I'm the gentleman or the brother that will be teaching basic English for the next for this week out and next week. This is the what do you call it? The condensed course. So we do 3 classes the one week, and we do another 3 classes last week. And last night we basically started off these classes, and I'm going to ask Wisdom if you can make some more copies of these as well, because these are the slides from last night. So I have 3 5 years, so you just need to make enough for the rest, and for Bella as well. Okay, so we started last night with basic English, right? We started with the um the parts of the 8 parts of speech, and I'm gonna hand this out. You can just pass it on to those that were here last night, because I said I was gonna bring you copies, and these are all copies of the slides. I mean, one is yours, and then one of us. And Wisdom is making more copies now, so the rest of you will have. So that was basically just covering the 8 parts of speech, and you guys might have done this before. For those of you that weren't here last night, it's very simple. You'll have the copies there. It's easy to read through, but it's basically covering the 8 parts of speech, which is like nouns, adjective, naamwoorde, bijnaamwoorde, werkwoorde, and sulke dinge. Maar in English, it's nouns, your nouns, your adjectives, pronouns, adverbs, prepositions, articles, verbs. No, I'm forgetting verbs. No, verbs, adverbs. And those are you use that in your everyday in everyday language. You use it when you're speaking English. You probably in your languages that you speak as well. You probably have those as well. You probably obviously call it different things. But that is what we covered last night. It's the 8 parts of speech. And then we also we looked at the basic structure of a sentence, what you basically need in a sentence. And that is, you need for those that were here last night, what do you need in a sentence? What is the first thing I spoke about?
Object.
Yes, the object is not the first thing I spoke about, but you do need it in your sentence.
Subject.
You need a subject, and you need, what are the two main things? Is a subject and a verb, right? A subject and a verb. You can make a sentence with just those two things, right? For instance, Edwin sang. No, Edward, sorry, Edward. Edward sang, no? Or Banele runs. No? There's your subject and your verb, and that's a sentence. But then we spoke about more things, right? We spoke about the sentence, and then we spoke about the verb, and then we spoke about the object. And the object would be what?
Something which you refer to.
Yeah.
Could be an object. It could be an animal, a building, or something.
Yeah.
Something which you refer to.
Yeah. The object would be the thing or the person or the thing to whom the action or the verb is being done to. So if I say Wellington kicked the ball, right? So Wellington is the subject, he kicked, which is the verb, and ball becomes the object because that is what is being the action is being done to the ball. So the ball is the object. No? So Wellington kicked the ball. Wellington the subject, kicked is the verb, and ball becomes the object. So those are some of the things that we covered last night. It is basic English. So what we're trying to do, if you it's not English is not your first language, then it's just trying to make you aware of the basics of English. And that's what we're trying to do with this class. Um, I had a breakdown of what we are going to cover for the next couple of nights. And tonight, basically what we are covering tonight is punctuation, and commonly confused words, no? Words that are sometimes confused. There's a lot of words in the English vocabulary that they sound the same, but they don't mean the same thing. And sometimes we use them mistakenly, thinking that that is the right word that we use. And we're just going to have a look at some of those. I mean, the list that I have, should actually make more copies, doesn't even come close to the full amount of commonly confused words. But I'm going to give you each, so you each will have a list of that as well, um, uh, for your files as well. So, I know you guys had some work that you had to do for me last night. Did you get around to doing it?
Yes.
Did you get it done?
But
Was it a bit of a challenge? Okay.
It was too much.
Too much. Was it too much?
Because it was the chain of each.
Yeah, it was a total of 80 words. Yeah, maybe that was a bit too much. I don't know. I figured that and maybe and maybe because you never had the notes, maybe it made it more challenging. Okay. But did you try it at least? Did you,
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Okay. As long as you attempted it, I don't mind. As long as you sincerely try to work on it, that's okay. Okay, so last night was part of speech. So this is for you guys that weren't here. I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen for the next couple of days. So last night we covered parts of speech, basic sentence structure. Tonight we're doing punctuation and style, as well as commonly confused words. Then on Thursday night we'll be doing writing better sentences. Okay, then we'll be doing sentence structure and paragraph structure. Those will all be done on Thursday night. And then coming next week, Monday, we're back here again. Then we'll be doing pronoun problems and compiling my CV. Right, so that's going to be part of the classes for you to, put the CV together. And then the following class on Tuesday will be note taking, and then a writing format, and then we'll continue with writing formats on Thursday, and when we complete the class. So that's what we're doing. So this week is more of getting to know the basics. Next week will be more practical when we start doing some things you'll be writing, especially when it comes to your CV, and especially when it comes to note taking. So is like last night, this is the first time for those that were here last night. The rest of you, is this the first year that you're doing this course? Or is it your second year? Second year? So you're here second year? Anybody else? Second year?
I mean, in particular course.
No, you're here in school.
Yes.
Second year, right? So you guys know how the school works. The rest of you are all first year?
I'm a graduate. I already graduated.
Okay, so you already graduated. Okay, okay. So you're auditing classes or just
Yeah, I can just allow.
yeah. Getting reacquainted with the work. Okay, that's good. That's good. And the rest of you, is this your first year? Okay, that's good. That's great. Okay. So this is my first time teaching at Somerset West School of Preaching. So I haven't been here before. I mean, I've been here to the bowling, I've been to the church plenty of times. But this is my first time teaching this particular class. So if you have any questions, please ask questions. If there's anything that I said that you don't understand, I don't mind repeating it. Please don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, with the sheets that they've given you, if you want to make notes on there, please do so. Make as much notes as you can. Has everybody got a copy now? Okay, so this is what you must have in front of you. Okay, punctuation. Okay, and that's where we're going to start. I'm going to share my screen so the rest of them can see it. Okay, Bella, can you see that? Wait, unmute myself here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see that. Okay, that's
Yes,
good.
I can.
I'm gonna just see if I can make it a full screen. Okay. So tonight's class is about punctuation. Who knows what punctuation is? Who knows? When I say punctuation, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what am I talking about? You see, yes. Yes, that's what punctuation is all about, eh? Punctuation is important in writing. It's important in writing books, important in writing letters. It's important when we read certain things that punctuation is there because it helps us to understand what the writer is writing. And if you don't have punctuation, you could read something and it will mean completely different to what the person who was writing it was meant the way you're supposed to understand it. And that was why punctuation is important. Right, so a simple definition, it's symbols that are used to aid the clarity and the comprehension of the written language. Right? You guys got that on your page? You don't print out? Okay, no, I need to write. I thought that would become. So it's basically symbols. So it's little things that are symbols that was developed over time. Hi there, Judith, how are you? Okay. Um,
I think I will do it.
so that is what a and that is what punctuation is. They're symbols that are used to aid the clarity and the comprehension of the written language. Okay, I'll give you a moment just to take that down. Solomon was going to do this to you. This is what we decided that you have doing course. But I didn't see. Oh, okay, wait, unable. Oh, so yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. So these are what are some of our punctuation marks are. We have the period. Okay, we don't call it a period in South Africa. That's what they call it in America. They call it a period. We call it a full stop. Right? Comes at the end of any sentence. It's called a full stop. You have a comma. You have a question mark, exclamation point, apostrophe, and quotation marks, and a hyphen. Okay, that's basically the basic quotation, basic punctuation marks that we are going to be looking at this evening. So you ask me, so why do we need punctuation? It is used to create sense, clarity, and stress in a sentence, right? You use punctuation marks to structure and organize your writing, right? If we didn't have punctuation marks and we were reading something without punctuation marks, it would make it very difficult for us to understand what we are reading. And sometimes we write like that, no? When we write without punctuation marks and we just write and we think, okay, no, the person is going to understand what we wrote or what we meant to be saying. And sometimes it's not easy. And for somebody who basically counts on there being punctuation marks to read something and it's not there. It's difficult to understand. And I think one of the things that we have now, the problems, I don't know if it's a problem or issue, but it's when people message each other on social media, like WhatsApp and stuff like that. They don't use you don't bother to put a comma there, or you're gonna you ask somebody a question, you're not gonna bother to put a question mark there or full stop. You just type and that person and I think people have come to the point where they kind of understand what you're typing because they're online so much. They kind of understand it, but it's not a good thing because they don't use punctuation. So they get used to just typing certain things in that way. And so here's an example. So if we read this, this is a this is just something written here that has no punctuation, right? And if you read this, it says, perhaps you don't always need to use commas, periods, colons, etc. to make sentences clear. When I am in a hurry, tired, cold, lazy, or angry, I sometimes leave out punctuation marks. It's stupid. I can write without it and I don't need it. My uncle Harry once said he was not very clever and I never understood a word he wrote to me. And I think I'll learn some punctuation, not too much enough to write to Uncle Harry. He needs some help. That makes no sense at all, right? There's no punctuation, there's no full stops, there's no capital letters, there's no question marks, there's nothing, right? There's no commas, right? So it doesn't, if you read it like that, it doesn't make sense what this guy is trying to say here. And now if you add punctuation, then it totally sounds totally different. And that's the next, on the next slide, on the next page there, you can see, here's the example without, and now here's the example with punctuation. And now it just reads totally different. So if you're going to read it, it's going to say, perhaps you don't always need to use commas, periods, colons, etc. to make sentences clear. When I'm in a hurry, tired, cold, lazy, or angry, I sometimes leave out punctuation marks. Grammar is stupid. I can write without it, and I don't need it, my Uncle Harry once said. He was not very clever, and I never understood a word he wrote to me. I think I learned some punctuation, not too much, enough to write to Uncle Harry. He needs some help. You see how totally different that sounds with reading with punctuation.
Understand, yeah. Is it like after every full stop, are we supposed to start the next sentence with a capital? This one to make sentence clear, is it a typing error or it's supposed to be like that?
Where is this?
The T is in small.
Okay, which one? Yeah, so what this is a it's not a it's a full stop, but it's an abbreviation of a word. Right? So sometimes we don't put the whole word in there, we use an abbreviation. So basically what does ET stands, ETC stands for etc. No? To make sentences clear. So it's saying perhaps we don't always need to use commas, periods, colons. Now instead of mentioning all the punctuation marks, the writer just says etc. to make sentences clear. Now when it's like this, it's an abbreviation. When you use an abbreviation, you have to put a dot behind the after the last letter that you use. It's almost like
only after, not every afterward, like E dot, C dot, C.
No. You put ETC dot. Yeah, it's almost like when you say when you're writing a note to maybe you I don't know maybe your boss and you're gonna say Mr. Peters. Now when you write Mr. you put an M and an R and you put a dot, no, and then you will put his name there. But that's not starting a new sentence. You're starting with Mr. But Mr. is abbreviated. It's an MR dot is an abbreviation. The same as ETC is an abbreviation. That's why the dot is there, but then we go on with the sentence. Right? That's an exception to the usual. Thank you very much. Thanks, wisdom. So that's what's happening over there. And that's a good question because normally you would say after a full stop, you must have a capital letter because you're starting a new sentence. Yeah. But you see how different this whole thing reads with punctuation. Right? So when you write things, use punctuation. Right? Learn to use punctuation.
Also gives you the chance to breathe.
Yeah.
That's why you don't have
You have to go on. Yeah. Yeah. So like when you and now we will go through each one of it, but when it gets to a comma, it's a short pause. Right? You just don't keep reading. When it's exclamation mark, it's something being emphasized. When there's a question, you pose it as a question. When it's easy to hear when somebody asks, can I have a glass of water? It just sounds like a question, that's a question. Okay, so that's just an example of how it changes, how punctuation changes a phrase or a paragraph or a sentence, it just makes totally different. And you can write the same sentence and you can put punctuation marks in different places, and the sentence can read different. And that's how powerful punctuation is. Okay, so the first one, we all know this one, right? It is the full stop. Okay. Um, now you see there, it's got a question mark and you got an exclamation mark. Those are the things that normally come at the end of a sentence, right? The full stop, the question mark, and the exclamation mark. If that's at the end of your sentence, that's where the sentence stops. Right? If you are asking a question, you are going to end it with a question mark. If you are trying to stress something, you're going to put an exclamation mark. If you're ending your sentence, you're going to put a full stop at the end of the sentence. You see our example there. It's cold today. The office was closed. Please be careful. Okay? That ends the sentence when you put the full stop. No? In America, they call it a period. It's period, stops the sentence, right? So that is the full stop. It is basic, something that we should all know. And like Veronica said here, if the full stop ends the sentence, your new sentence starts with a capital letter, right? Never forget that. Okay. Then the next one is a question mark, right? So the question mark is when you're asking a question, you put the question mark at the end of the sentence, right? So you'll see the full stop is still there. It means your sentence is finished, right? You just put the little thing on there, and that makes it the question mark. Okay. Give up. Okay. Right. So who's that? No, that's the question. Did you see the show? Could you wait, please? Okay. And you see they put there's two extra things in there which we are going to speak about. Is an apostrophe. David says who's that? And then there's a comma after the wait over there. Right. And we're going to speak about that when we get to commas. Okay, so those are that's a question mark. Okay, so that's what the question mark is. And then the next one is the exclamation mark, right? Do you guys all know what the exclamation mark is? Yeah, you know that's what it is, yeah? What is it used for?
Like you are surprised.
Surprise, yes, yes. Anybody else? That's right. Anybody else? Die invul, jy wat so gaan met die. Yeah, I can say you can use it when you're writing to show you're surprised, no? Or it's verrassing. It's a verrassing is, no? Not just that, what else? What else can you use?
Can you use it make more emphasis?
Make more emphasis on a statement, no? Like when you're writing a letter, you can't shout at somebody, right? So what they do is they write or they type. Like say if maybe you got somebody that's working at your house, and now the guy's not doing the work is not their worker is doing is not right, and you're angry. But the only way you can communicate with him is via the message on the phone or via email. Now you send him an email and you want to say, I am not happy with the work. And then at the end of the sentence, you put the exclamation mark instead of a full stop. And some people will put 10 exclamation marks there to express that I am really not happy with what's going on. Yeah? And sometimes they do that, and that's when they use, it's funny, no? That's when they use punctuation when they're on the WhatsApp and they cross with you and they put that exclamation mark goes in there, or they use emojis now, no? To get across the fact that they don't feel happy with what is going on. But that's what an exclamation mark, use an exclamation mark to bring emphasis to something that you are writing. Emphasis in the sense, let's use when you write, and sometimes they don't actually have this in scripture, but if you think about, you need to be baptized to be saved. No? You need to be baptized to receive forgiveness of sin. And you can emphasize that by putting an exclamation mark, because that's important. No? Yeah, and that's what we use the exclamation mark for. is to show emphasis in something, in our writing, when we're writing to somebody, or even when you're reading it, when you're reading something and you see the exclamation mark, then you know that the writer or the person that is writing to you or wrote the book or whatever is trying to stress a particular point. A definition here is an exclamation point is used to express strong feelings. No? There's quite a difference between these two sentences. If you have just a normal, if you just write normal, but if you add an exclamation mark to it, then it means much more to it. And that's where you need to know what the exclamation mark is. Because if you are reading something and you don't understand what the exclamation mark is, then you're not going to know that this guy is emphasizing the point or the thing that he is saying, that is bringing emphasis to it. You see, so now you know it's good to know punctuation, because if you didn't know what an exclamation mark is, you just read it without knowing. And that goes the same for questions and stuff like that. Okay, so those are the first three. It's the full stop, question mark, exclamation mark. Okay, right, let's move on. Right, so here we have the comma. The comma is used in various circumstances. It is used in it's used quite a lot, right? Commas is something that's used a lot, and it is also used in different circumstances when you're separating a phrase, when you're separating different words. Like you said, it's to give you a pause. It's a brief pause. That's what a comma is. It's a brief pause, and commas also makes a big difference in writings. It plays a very important role in punctuation. Without commas, you will read something like the way I read it just a few seconds ago without a if you didn't have any commas. So commas, firstly, it is used to separate three or more words, phrases, or clauses in a series. So, like when we, like there's that example over there, practice will be held before school, in the afternoon, and at night. You see that? No? That is actually three different phrases that comma is separating. No? It's going to happen. And we normally say you use a comma when you're listing things also, no? When you're writing and you're listing a couple of things, and then before the last one, you put the conjunction in there, which is the and at night. So you see there, the practice will be held before school. That's the one part. In the afternoon, the second part, and then and at night is the last part. Okay, so you see why they use that comma there, not to separate those. And you can see those are different. Now, what they got telling the person, we're going to be practicing in the morning before school. Then we're going to be practicing in the afternoon, and we're going to be practicing in the evening. You see how that comma changes? I mean, makes sense there. No? If you didn't have that comma, then you say practice will be held before school in the afternoon and at night. See, just don't read it. See, with that pause, that slight pause in there, just reads differently. And it's a bit more understanding. Okay. Questions? Comments?
Yeah, Brother Josiah,
Yes, Bella?
I just wanted to ask you, I don't remember when we used the word and, that you would put a comma. The and would replace the comma as opposed to putting a comma and an and. I don't remember this at school that you have a comma ending and at night.
Oh, okay. Yes. There is a discussion about, I know what you're talking about, but you should not add the comma after afternoon. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because and replaces the comma.
Yes. There's writings where people would say, I mean, there is a debate where some people will say you don't put the comma there. You just go straight into your and you put in your last phrase instead of putting a comma. Either way, because it's accepted, it's either way it's right. Right? So you could have it and you could not have it. Okay, so it's either way, it's accepted with that one. I know exactly what you're talking about, the Bella. I just want to double check. I know I have it. You see in the one book, they're going to say it's okay, and in the other book they're going to say it differently. Like in this one, you see in every example they have the comma before the and. But if I go to this book, then they have it differently. You see, so it's either way, it is okay to write it like that. Okay, I think in South Africa, it is more that we bend more to the way of not including it in before the and not having it there before the and. Okay, but either way, it's okay. It will be accepted.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is the comma, and you can see that is not just in between. Like the next ones we're going to look at, you're going to see they're going to be separating words. But here you can see that they are actually separating phrases. You see that? It's a phrase. It's something that stands by itself, and then it's separated by the comma. Like in the afternoon, before school, in the afternoon, and at night. Okay. Next one. Right, so it says after an introductory dependent clause. So you can see here, if your friends enjoy Chinese food, they will love this restaurant. You see there's two clauses there. And you see that too. If your friends enjoy Chinese food, that can stand on its own, right? If your friends enjoy Chinese food, they will love this restaurant. See, that's also how you use a comma. Right? You have an introductory clause and then you have another clause after that. And you have to put a comma in between to separate the two. Okay. Right, so that's another use of the comma. You see, the comma is used quite a bit, eh? Different uses for the comma. Okay, then also the comma is used to set off introductory words, introductory adverbials, participles, or infinitive phrases, and longer introductory prepositional phrases. So like you see, incidentally, comma, I was not late this morning. You see there? Now the introductory word there is incidentally. All right. So you say the incidentally, I was not late this morning. Instead of saying incidentally, I was not late this morning. That doesn't sound as good as if you just slight pause there and then you carry on with your sentence. You see the difference it makes, no? And now there's a phrase. It says hoping for a bigger fish. Rob spent 3 more hours fishing. You see the difference there, no? If you had no comma, it says hoping for a bigger fish. Rob spent 3 more hours fishing. Right. So the phrase, introductory phrase, is hoping for a bigger fish. Rob spent obviously more time fishing, so you could catch that fish. See? Another way of using the comma. All right. So that's the first one is an introductory word, and the second one is an introductory phrase. No? That starts off. So here's this debate. It is used between, so commas is used between independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. So that is what we just spoke about now, kind of what we spoke about. So you see there, those are all conjunctions. You see there for and, or, but, or, yet, and so. So it says, my dog had fleas, so we gave him a bath. You see that? So that's a conjunction there, and you put the comma there. And you can see there, like, it's two ideas to that sentence. Right? Although it's one sentence, you can see there's two different phrases. You're first telling me your dog has got fleas, now you're telling me what what you did.
Doing weight inside. Doing weight on the
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. No, so we gave him a bar. Yeah. Two phrases there, and you put the comma in the middle. Okay. If you don't have that notes, you can put it down. I see the copies didn't copy out everything, so you can just jot that down there. So between independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. Okay, that's what we do with the comma. Okay, any questions about the comma? Any questions about the comma? Anybody? No questions.
Only comments.
You want to make a comment?
Yes.
Go ahead, go ahead.
My mother sent me to buy bananas, comma, apple, not bananas, comma, rice, comma, and salad.
Salad. Yeah, that's fine. That can work.
It's gonna look like that.
Yeah. And like we mentioned, or like Bella brought up, you don't have to put that comma before the and. You see that? Like you said, you bought bananas, no?
Bananas,
Comma, cabbage, and then you said comma and salad. Okay, salad cream. Okay. Yeah, so the comma, it's before the and is optional. You can put it in or you don't have to put it in. Okay. But if you have a list like that, like you just said, now that's an example, no? Of going between a list of words. Like you have I had to do this, and this today. So I had to do this, comma, this, comma, this, comma, this, and this today. See, so when you're listing things, you put a comma in between. If you're doing a sentence like that, I had to buy this, I had to buy this, or you get this for me. Like especially when it comes to like a shopping list, you put a couple of things on there. You're gonna put that comma, that comma, that comma, and yeah.
Josiah,
And that's how you use the comma. Yes, Bella.
sorry, just to ask you as well, coordinating, I'm used to writing a co-ordinating. Is this the standard that we are learning tonight?
You're not very clear, Bella.
Between coordinating, you would normally write a co-ordinating.
Oh yeah, yeah. Coordinating. Yes.
Yeah, see, they don't do it here.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
But are we recording the question?
I did record, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
I did push record.
okay. It's fine. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this rating tells me it's recording.
Yes, it is recording.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, there on the conjunctive, I don't know if my memory still serves me right. We thought like if you use this other word, it's either either or.
Yeah.
You don't mix those two.
Yeah.
You have to it's either no
Either no.
or either or.
Either or. Yeah. Yeah. Either or.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
Or neither or. Neither no.
Neither either.
Neither no.
Yeah.
Neither no. Yeah. So you cannot say like no, either no. No.
No.
It's either or neither no.
Yeah. 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 They have to complement each other. Yeah. I'm just reading through this here. Okay, so that is the comma, no? Just a note here, use the comma sparingly. Okay, there are no absolute rules as to when commas should or should not be used. The usual rule of thumb is to use them sparingly instead of scattering them all over a text. And to be sure that each comma you use really is necessary. All of the commas in the following sentences are necessary. So here's an example. When I hear Vivaldi's music, comma, my spirit dies. Okay, you see there's two ideas in that sentence, right? So one is I hear the music and then something is happening to me. So you put the comma in there. Under normal circumstances, comma, I would not enjoy looking at the view, comma, from such a great height. See, it's a long sentence. So there's basically three ideas in that sentence or three phrases. So they put a comma at the end of each phrase. Okay, and then it would not surprise me if it were to rain, comma, tomorrow morning. Right? It would not surprise me, comma, if it were to rain tomorrow morning. Right, so you see there's commas in there because there's three different things as well. So there's three commas in there. But what this trying to tell us is that you just don't use commas willingly. Right? You try and use it sparingly only when you really need to use it, then you use it.
But you can also use the end if you want to. You can also use the end if you want to.
The end, yes, you can also do that, yeah. Right, so like they say, there's no like there's no absolute rules as to when commas should and should not be used.
So the comma and the end go together.
Not all the time, not all the time, no. Like you can use the comma, like we use in our examples. Like here's a comma, but there's no and here. You see there. There's a comma with this phrase, but there's no and. So it's not always that they go together. Okay.
No, the thing that what I mean is like they mean the same thing, the comma and the end.
No, they're not exactly the same thing. Because the and is a conjunction. Yeah, it's not the same as the comma. Although the and is a conjunction to join things together. It will join words together. It will join phrases together. If you have two sentences and they don't need to be two sentences, you use the and to join the two sentences. You understand? So you will. It's not always that you're going to use the comma in those circumstances. So they are not the same thing. They are two different things. No? Okay. So that is our comma. Any more questions? That's good questions, right? Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as a wrong question. So ask questions if you don't understand something, because it's not helpful if you don't understand it and you're just sitting here, right? So if you don't understand it, then ask. We don't mind going over these things to make sure that you understand the what we are speaking about. Okay. So commas, right? We got a good understanding of commas. Are we good? Okay. Right. So let's move on. So next we have the semicolon. Now this is going to start when it starts getting a bit tricky, and it kind of messes with your understanding of what a comma is, and it can get confusing. But don't allow that to confuse you, right? These are still punctuation. These are still things that we use in our words, no, in our writing and all that stuff. So this is the semicolon, right? And so let me just check. Okay, so the semicolon, it is not like this over here. No? This is actually the colon over here. The semicolon, if you go down here, after the word preoccupied, you see that? That is what the semicolon looks like. Can you see it? Right, you see that? That's the semicolon. It is the dot with a comma at the bottom. Okay, so that is the semicolon. So this is used to separate clauses or phrases that are related and that receive equal emphasis. Right, so they kind of both very important. It joins independent clauses in a compound sentence if no coordinating conjunction is used. So here's your example. Michael seemed preoccupied. He answered our questions abruptly. Okay, you see that's not really and sometimes I would say it's kind of a bit of a longer pause than what you have when you're working with a comma. So we use semicolon to separate sentences that are closely associated in meaning, often antithetical sentences. So here's another example. England was wet and gloomy. Italy was sunny and warm. Right? You see, you're trying to, it's like the sentence, both two parts of those sentences are both important. Now, both parts of it are both important. That's why we use the semicolon in between instead of using a comma. Okay. Another example. So in between, when I read that sentence, England was wet and gloomy, semicolon, Italy was sunny and warm. Okay. All these things didn't print out very well. So okay, so a semicolon you're also going to use when you're listing. So a semicolon also separates items in a list when commas have been used within those items. So then you also use a semicolon. So let's say if you're listing certain things, so you're using your commas, but now you have another list of things that are separate to that. Now instead of using a comma or an and, you put a semicolon in there, and now you're listing something else. And then you're using commas again, and then a semicolon if there's anything more, anything else. Okay? You guys still writing? I'll give you time to write that.
Just about how it's used again to separate the list of commas.
Yeah. So a semicolon also separates items in a list when commas have been used within those items. So it kind of makes it difficult to understand sometimes, no? So for instance, our journey took us to Italy, comma, where we discovered the Roman civilization. Now they use a semicolon. Egypt, which introduced us to wonders of prehistory, semicolon, and Greece, comma, where we explored the roots of Hellenism. They kind of puts in with scripture, no? Speaking about the Greece and Hellenism. So like if they made a list of things, now they're listing other things separate to that. So now they use commas for the first list. Now they're going on to another list. So what to separate it, they put a semicolon in there to separate it. See, instead of keep on using this, the comma, because it's not joined together the next list that they're speaking about. So they use the comma within a list. So now instead of continuing with commas, you use the semicolon.
So it will be like, firstly, it will be the same line of thought. And then maybe when you are changing that same line of thought, you use the
semicolon, yeah. Yeah. Here's some more information. So a semicolon, you will also use before a conjunctive adverb, right? So this is the transition word that joins the clauses of a compound sentence. Okay, so compound sentences means it's a sentence that is made up of it could have been two sentences, right? But it was put together because it just reads easier and it's just better to do it like that. For example, the emergency room was crowded. However, Warren was helped immediately. So you see the first part of it could stand together, right? I mean, can stand on its own. The emergency room was crowded, can stand on its own. You can put a full stop there and you can start the sentence. However, Warren was helped immediately. But instead of starting a new sentence, they just put a semicolon in there and they said, however, Warren was helped immediately. Okay, so the conjunctive adverb here is obviously however, no? Is your conjunctive adverb. So that's another use of the semicolon, right? Yeah, so it comes before that conjunctive adverb, right? That's when we use the semicolon. I know some of these things might just seem like foreign to you, or you don't understand it, but you know, as time goes by and you read, you go over your notes again, and when you're reading and you're gonna see that semicolon there, and you're gonna remember, okay, there's how they're using it, and that's how they're making use of it. And like I said, whenever you have books that you're reading, more than likely the grammar and the punctuation has been checked and hopefully double checked. So what you're reading is more than likely it's gonna be correct. And that helps you to understand it, and it helps you when you study this. It helps when you read something. Now you're reading it and you see it, or what you just studied, or what you've just been taught. It helps you to understand it more. Okay, so that's the semicolon. Okay, if you are still writing, I'll let you write. Right, so before a conjunctive adverb, which is the transition verb that joins the clauses of a compound sentence, the emergency room was crowded. However, Warren was helped immediately. And the last, I don't think the last one is the second last one. Okay, so the next one is the colon, all right? This is the colon, all right? So remember the semicolon was the dot and the comma, where the colon is just the two dots, right? That's the two dots, that's the colon. It is used after the independent clause and before the word, phrase, sentence, quotation, or list it is introducing. Right, so that is a long explanation there, but I printed out for you guys, so that's good. So it's used after the independent clause and before the word, phrase, sentence, quotation, or list it is introducing. So you see that Joe has only one thing on his mind: Frenchman, English. So then it comes before that word, right? Then Joe has only one thing on his mind: the PlayStation next door. And that's the phrase. Right? So you see the colon in the first example there, it comes before the word, which is Frenchman. In the second one, it comes before the phrase, the PlayStation next door. Okay? So you see there, it's almost like what is happening is the second part of it is trying to give you more emphasis of the first part. When it comes to a sentence, when you see the two phrases, it's almost like you read the first one, but now you need to have a more understanding of what that is about. So there is your second part to that sentence, but it's separated by a colon. Okay. So it's not a new sentence, it's just a new phrase, a separate phrase to that same sentence. Right. So and it just gives you more information about the first part of the sentence if you look at it like that. Okay. Okay, that's the colon. There's some more to the colon. Okay, so colon is also used after the independent clause and before the word, phrase, sentence, quotation, or list it is introducing. So sometimes you're going to have, like we just covered the word, we covered the phrase, sentence. Then you have quotations. Now, quotation, you know, what a quotation means when you are writing the exact words of the person, the quote that somebody said. So you put those in quotation marks, right? So it says that it comes before a quotation also. Okay, we'll use the colon. Okay, so the examples they give here: Joe has only one thing on his mind. He wants to go out with his friends. Right, so there it comes before the clause, no? That's the clause. The next example. So here's a list that's coming through now. Joe has several things on his mind: his finals, his job, and Linda. So there's a list of things, right? So Joe has a list of things on his mind. So what you do is, if you're going to introduce a list, you will also use your colon. Okay. Question. The colon. 4 years. Yeah. You see, so soos ek gesê het man, it's amper om soos om dat is die eerste part van die sin, né?
Yes.
So da konna. Jy kan, maar nou het jy 'n lys van dinge wat hy opbring. Nou ons gaan nie 'n lys kom ons dit daar elke een van nou as 'n lys wat opkom. Nou die colon word gebruik Die eerste part sê Joe has several things on his mind. Nou, hy klom die dinge op sy gedagtes. Maar die sin kan na eindig. Maar ons eindig nie daar nie. Nou sê ons wat hy dinge is wat op sy mind is, yeah. So we kind of explaining what is on his mind. So we could have, ons kan het 2 sinne gemaak het, maar ons maak hom nou net 1 sin en ons gebruik die colon. No? Okay, so what
the way that colon is being used today, the same as if you want to use a comma, there is only one thing in his mind, comma.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now you see the reason why they're not using the comma, because there's a list coming up. You see you see the second example. Yeah, it says Joe has several things on his mind, right? But now they don't use the comma there because what is happening? It's a list that it's got on his mind. It's a list of things. So what you do is you put a colon there, and then you list the things with commas in between. You see, that's why we don't use the comma. We use the colon instead of a comma, because it's introducing a list. Okay.
May alang tekens by die laaste para daar wanneer by die laaste. Kaya ko tamas die alang
The quotation marks, no?
Hmm.
Iemand praat. Yeah, so I'd say for us, you will use sal nou die colon gebruik, no? Na sekere goed, no?
Okay.
So it says you will use it after an independent clause and before, that is for the word, phrase, sentence, quotation, or a list. Or list that is being introduced. So dis sal hom gebruik voor die woorde wat iemand gepraat het of gespreek het. Yeah. You'll use it before the words that somebody spoke. Remember, that's a quotation marks. So you'll use the colon before the words that somebody has spoken. So the colon prompts the reader to read on for a fuller explanation of what has just been said. It therefore links 2 parts of a sentence that take the form of a statement or an expression or that statement. No? So here's some more examples of the colon. So the first one is after a phrase, no? And before another phrase. So you will be silly to come tomorrow. Colon, Mike will be there. Now it uses a comma, and you know how the 2 of you quarrel. Okay. So they use the colon after the word tomorrow, and then they introduce a new, like the person was saying, you will be silly to come tomorrow. Now the person's going to say why it's going to be silly for you to come tomorrow. So in one sentence, they're saying it's not a good idea to come tomorrow, and this is why. I'm telling you, it's not a good idea to come. And he uses a colon in between to stress the 2 differences, especially when you're writing. And then here's the one example of when they introduce a list after a colon. So it says there are 5 main types of sentence. So there are 5 main types of sentence, colon. Now they're listing those 5. You see, so they say loose, comma, periodic, comma, mixed, comma, balanced, and antithetical. See, that's a list. So they put a colon before the list is mentioned. Okay. So that's when we use a colon. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Any more questions about the colon? It's almost like it gets a bit confusing now, huh? And English can be like that, no? Sometimes you think, why don't you just put a comma there? Why don't you just use the semicolon? But that's how English is. It's good for us to know these things or to understand these things, no? All right, so next, what's next? Okay, so here's more about the colon. This is just saying never use a colon after a verb that directly introduces a list. No? So you see here, the incorrect, the things on Joe's mind are finals, work, and Linda. The correct way to say that, the things on Joe's mind are finals, work, and Linda. So you don't need a colon there. Okay? You see the mistake that they made. They put a colon there when it wasn't necessary to do that. Okay? Okay, so never use a colon after a verb that directly introduces a list. Okay. Any more questions? Was Anio? Jason? Me? Okay, so it's here that it's saying never use a colon after a verb. The verb is a werkwoord. No? Okay, that directly introduces a list. So sê vir ons moenie die colon gebruik na die werkwoord wat hy lys opbring. Nou sien in die eerste pad jy sien hulle die colon gebruik daar en toe kom jy lys, né? Nou wat dit vir ons sê jy moenie die colon gebruik nie. As jy nou sien in die tweede ene, die onderste ene daar's niks colon nie. So it says the things on Joe's mind are finals, work and Linda. Daar was nie 'n dit was nie nodig om 'n colon te gebruik nie. So dan gebruik ons hom. So daai wat hy vir jou kan sê wat jy moet doen of wat jy moenie doen nie. Ja. Ja. Dit is alles oor punctuation. Leestekens, dit is alles oor leestekens, né? Ons noem hom as leestekens in Afrikaans. Ja. So dis wat die lees oor dit. Punctuation is in Engels, is wat ons roep. Ja. Ja, dan moet jy hom net leer in Engels. Wat?
So the colon only counts when you want to introduce the type of things that you want to introduce.
What's this?
Like colon only counts when you want to introduce a type of tree.
Yeah, so you use it like if you have a list of things that you want to introduce. So like if you want to tell somebody you prefer this kind of food, so you'll say, I enjoy eating these foods. Then you put a colon and then you can list all those foods with a comma in between. You see? That's like if you is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly when you're going to use the colon. That's one of the times when you use it, is when you're introducing a list of things. Yeah.
So when it's there, so it's not correct.
The way on two. Yeah, that's wrong, right? You see the one on top is wrong. No. The thing is there is it's not correct because what are they saying here? Never use a colon after a verb. No? That directly introduces a list. No? So you don't use it directly after that verb. Right? But when you're introducing a list and you don't have that verb that is introducing, that's coming before the list, then it's fine. Then you use the colon to introduce your list. Okay?
Ek sien ons gebruik alles maar ons gebruik die invoegteken sê. Hy invoegteken dan miskien nou afwoord skryf en weet jy wat is 'n invoegteken?
Beteken.
'n Invoegteken dan miskien nou ek skryf miskien nou 'n woord en daai woord lê nou insit daar dat ek 'n invoegteken dan so kom as ek ja.
Dit is die woord voor.
Ja.
Okay.
Ek sien ons gebruik dit daar.
Ja, nee. As jy 'n fout gemaak het, né?
Ja.
Ja, as jy nou geskryf het. Ja, ek dink hy het so by the way weggeval. Ja, hy's kom so met hy's amper soos 'n onderste bo. Hy's 'n pyltjie wat amper soos by is op ja. Hy het weggeval. Ek kan nie sê hy het weggeval nie, maar omdat ons nou nie as kinders nog skryf, hulle gebruik dit nog altyd as hulle nou 'n woord gemik het, dan doen hulle daai om die woord in te sit. Maar as jy nou op die komputer tip op jou foon tip en dan as jy net terug, dis net die woord terug in. Jy sien. Ja, maar hy is nou daar as jy skryf. dan kan jy nog wat, I mean, hulle gebruik dit nog, maar as jy meer soos altyd, ja.
I have a question. Is it the only say Joe's mind?
The things on Joe's mind are.
So that thing that Joe, that thing is what it was before the East, they were Joe.
That's what we're going to speak about next. That's an apostrophe, no? That's an apostrophe. So we use that. We're going to explain that, no? Now. And one of the ways is it substitutes letters that are missing. No? That's an apostrophe. Is that what you're asking about, that between the S, the O and the S, no? Yeah. The E and the S. Yeah, we're going, actually, that's the next thing on our line, on our page. Are there any other questions before we continue? Any questions? Okay. We've been here now for an hour. Okay, I say what we do is we don't have much to do still. So what I'm gonna say is we take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go on with this and we'll finish off what we need to. Is that okay? Is that good with you? 5-minute break? Okay. And those that had homework, you can give me your homework now. Because I might not have a chance later to get it from you. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't really see it.
Yeah. Yippee.
Okay, we are back. Right, everybody have a good break? All right, we are back. Let me just share the screen. We're gonna just finish up with this part of the class. Okay. And our next thing that we're going to speak about, and you just brought this up now, it's the apostrophe. No? The apostrophe. And an apostrophe is used as a substitution for a missing letter or letters in a word, right? So in the contraction, so what a contraction is when we take one word and we take away a whole lot of letters and we pull them together, and we have another word with an apostrophe in it, right? That's when we do what's called a contraction. I mean, I didn't explain this to you, but that's what a contraction is. So you see there, the example there is cannot. You see there, cannot?
Yes.
And sometimes you say I can't. No, I can't do that. So instead of saying I cannot, you say I can't. So what happens is you see the in and the O is gone. So in replacement of that, you put an apostrophe there. Okay? That's what it is, no? And then another one, it says it shows possessive case. So I think that's the one that we use just before that, what you asked about, no? Was it Michael's mind or somebody's mind, no? So Joe's mind. So there it comes in. It shows possessive case, no? This is Jane's room. No? You get it, you understand? That's where the apostrophe comes in there, no? This is Jane's room.
That's my ball.
That's my ball. No, that's my book. So that's why we use the apostrophe. I'm just trying to see if I got it in here as well. Okay, and then it also shows then the plural of letters. Now, so some numbers and abbreviations. So groups of years no longer require an apostrophe. For example, the 1950s or the 90s. No? If you go on to the next page, you'll see the examples. Right, so there we have it. Now, I can't see the cat's tail. No? So in that first sentence, we have the one where it's a contraction, and then also have the one where it's used for possessive, no? Belongs to the cat, no? The cat's tail. So the first one is I can't, it's basically I cannot see the cat's tail. No? The tail belongs to the cat. Okay? And then when I use it in hundreds, when we use it in numbers, that's how we're going to use it. Hundreds of years. No? We put an apostrophe there and we put the S in there. No? To show hundreds of years. And that's when we use the apostrophe. There are a few more other things that is on here. I think I just have examples on the rest of it. Here's some more examples of a colon, just giving us more details of a colon. A colon is used before a list or quote to separate hours and minutes. Yes, we use colons then, you know, when you on a clock, you'll always see the colon in between the digital clock. Okay, that's where that comes in. To separate elements of a mathematical ratio. So when you do math, you also use colons in certain circumstances. So here they give us examples. There are many punctuation marks, periods, commas, colon, and others. So there we have the one in between the time, 2:15, that's digital time. And then you see that the ratio of girls to boys is 3 to 2, no? That's a mathematical, when we use it in mathematical case. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Some more about the comma. A comma is used to separate phrases or items in a list. Right? We spoke about that. She bought milk, eggs, and bread. Let's see what else is here. Then we have, okay, we didn't speak about the dash, right? The dash is something that will also come up. You will also see that in your writings and in your in things like that. And you can also use the dash, right? So a dash is used to separate parts of a sentence. So you see there, that's the mark for the dash. The dash is also known as an M dash, or it could also be known as another word is a hyphen, because it is the length of the printed letter. M dash it is longer than a hyphen. So there's the distinction between the dash and the hyphen. And that's also other things that come up in our punctuation and things like that. Let me just give you some more information about the hyphen. So the hyphen and the dash, these two punctuation marks look very similar, but they have entirely different functions and should not be confused. No? So the hyphen task is to associate. It is short, horizontal line with no space around it, and is the phrase, and in the phrase blue-green jersey, so blue-green, the hyphen will come in between there. No? Or other example, off dry something. No? Off dry, we say off dry something. It is using that. Creating compound words. So we use it to link words to create compound words. For example, mother-in-law, right? Mother hyphen in hyphen law. No, that's where it comes in between. Director general, director general. No, editor in chief, editor hyphen in hyphen chief. Right? Many places also have many names of many places contains the hyphen. For example, KwaZulu Natal, right? KwaZulu hyphen Natal, right? So that's the short one. That's what should we call a hyphen. No? Other information about the hyphen. It's linking words. So the hyphen also links words into single compound adjectives. For example, a half-hearted attempt to clear the bath. Half and hearted is two separate words, but we put a hyphen in between to bring them together. Half-hearted attitude. No? Or yeah, that's that example. No? Then there's other uses of it. And then the dash, right? So when the hyphen associates, the dash separates No, so the dash is it's a bit longer than the hyphen, so you're gonna see these things in things that you read. It in print it is usually a longer line than that used by the hyphen. Or more importantly, however, it has a blank space on either side. So when you use the hyphen, it's almost like the words are against the hyphen, no? On the two sides. Like for Zulu, hyphen, Natal, they are squashed when they are against the hyphen. When you use the dash, there's a space in between. Right. So if you were using the dash, then there would be a word, a little space, then the dash, and another space, and then the word. Right. So that's the difference between a hyphen and a dash. Okay, so always you can pay attention to that. Let's see. So for instance, in this sentence, we invited 20 people. Now it's not a hyphen, it's a dash. Only 3 arrived. You see that? No, only 3 arrived. So the in between, instead of using a small little hyphen, you use a dash with 2 spaces on either side. Right? That's the use of it when it's being used. It also says here we use it instead of brackets to indicate a parenthetic statement. It signals a sudden change of direction in thought. Also, so that's what a hyphen, the dash can also do. For example, so changing the thought of a sentence. So if I read this, we had the most wonderful time in Greece. So now they use a dash. Not that you want to hear in the stories about the holiday. Just changing the thought of what they were saying. Okay. And that is it. The other ones that I wanted to cover, I'm not going to cover tonight, but I'll bring it up on Thursday night, is the quotation marks. No? Quotation marks, that's the one. And then we'll speak about brackets. Yeah. There's not a lot that we must start. We covered the most important aspects with regards to punctuation, right? And I know it can look confusing. It's a lot to kind of remember. It's a lot to get your head around it. And sometimes you can be overwhelmed by the different punctuations that they are. But the more you work with it, the more you use it, the more it kind of gets ingrained into your mind. And you'll know how to use it and when to use it. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? No questions?
Mine is an observation.
Huh?
Mine is an observation.
Observation, yeah.
As you gave us the assignment, I noticed something about the adjectives. On the adjectives, mostly the words which I came across were on the suffix. You were having like an ly
Okay.
on the adjectives. And I actually forgot about it, but it came up with as I was like writing.
Okay.
My
A lot of it.
yeah,
Okay. For example.
like the words like seemingly, extremely, quickly, those were like frequently.
Okay, coming up, yeah.
adjectives.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
I also kind of struggle with the articles. I could only find like 3 of them. The
The
the the N, A, and
and
A and G. That's all I could find.
Yeah.
I went through
yeah, actually I should have noted that you should only give me those, yeah. Yeah, it was gonna be a challenge to find any more of that because that's mainly the ones that we use. Yeah, I'm sorry about it, yeah.
Make it myself and others.
Yeah. But you have an understanding of what the things are. As long as you got that right, then that's the main thing. Like you know what an adjective is, you know what a pronoun is, you know what a verb, you know what's the adverb that goes with the verb. and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the important things. You know what nouns are, you know what the proper nouns are, the common and pronouns and stuff like that, no? And that should have been easy to find because that's all there, right? So that's good. Yeah, I'll go through this and I'll give you guys some feedback. I'll let my wife look at this and then she give you some feedback. Okay, I think we're gonna okay. There's one more thing that I wanted to go over this evening is words that are commonly confused, no? When we use certain words, uh, they sound the same, but they don't mean the same, no? I'm just gonna see if I got a printout here of that on here. Okay, so this is these are some words, like I said, they sound the same, but they mean totally the different things, eh? And these are things that we need to also. Can you see that? You can't see that, no? You can see it like that is better, no? Okay. Okay, so so commonly confused words, no? So words evolved with use and misuse over time, sometimes obscuring their meanings. Here are current conjugations and clarifications of some commonly confused words. For more, okay, so that's just if you want to go find more of this, no? So, okay, so here we have these two. The first two is and accept. You pronounce that words almost the same, no? But you don't really, no? It's accept and accept. So accept is a verb that means to receive or agree to. The principal accepted the boy's story about the broken window. So when we use accept is usually a preposition that means aside from or excluding. So I want all of the mugs to be washed except for the blue one. Right, you see then, the one is accept and the one is accept. Right, so we can sometimes confuse those words. And they're not the same.
Because say like, okay, I need it to watch that. Do you accept it? Or do you accept it? You want to be accepted?
Yeah.
So now give you something to accept this thing.
So accept if I'm accepting the task to do the washing, yes, that's fine. But the other one means to take exception, right? So accept I will wash all of this except Veronica's dirty dishes. You see?
Like okay, if I say like I'll give you this money, will you accept it? It's not the same thing.
No.
I'll give you this money, will you accept this money? So I need you to wash this thing for me. Will you accept to wash it?
Now, in that sense, it's accepting the task. It's accepting. I'm gonna accept. I'm accepting to do the task, right? But when the other one is accept, it's to exclude something. No, I will wash everybody's cars except Edward's car because it's too dirty. You see, that's I will accept to wash, accept the task of washing everybody's car, except means I'm excluding this one. You see, and that's how we confuse that word, no? Okay, that's good. That's good that you didn't get it. Okay, so you see how that works, no? So the other one here is affect and effect. No? Affect and effect. You see, they almost sound exactly the same, but they mean totally different things. No? So a verb, affect means to influence. Money affected the way people treated him. Used in the past tense, used in the past as a noun also, though almost exclusively in the mental health field, affect refer to a person's mood. The patient presented with a somber effect. No? So now here's effect. Effect is usually a noun meaning a result. Okay, so the drug had several adverse side effects, but it is also used as a verb meaning to cause. The new laws affected less cultural change than anticipated. Okay, you get that one? Effect and effect. Illusion or illusion. See that? Illusion or illusion. An allusion is an indirect reference. Did you catch an allusion to Shakespeare? My allusion to Shakespeare. Now in scripture they use this a lot, no? Where the New Testament writers alluded to passages of the Old Testament. Sometimes they would reference the Old Testament directly, where you'll be able to see direct references to the Old Testament, but sometimes they will write, but they won't directly reference the Old Testament, they will allude to something that was written in the Old Testament. Now that's what allusion is. An illusion, the other word, is a false or misleading appearance. No? Mirrors give the room an illusion of depth. No? It's an illusion. It's not the real thing. It's a fake kind of thing, or it's not a true perception of something. No? So illusion is to, like I said, when they refer to something, no? I alluded to something somebody said. No? An illusion is a false or misleading appearance. They almost sound the same, but they are totally different. Okay. Here's one here. Okay. Bring take. Look at this one. Bring take. If the action is directed toward you, use bring. No? Bring home the bacon. If the action is away from you, use take. Take out the trash. You see that, no? So if the action means that it's coming towards you, you're going to say, bring me the milk. No? Bring me the milk. If it's going towards away from you, it's to take the milk to your father or take the milk to your mother. Okay? Those are just simple things that sometimes we get confused of. No? Okay, I'm not going to go through all of this because this list is, I think it's 100 words on here. But I'm going to give you each a list, each of you this list, so that you can go over this, then you can see some of the words that are confusing and stuff like that. No? Okay, so that's our class for tonight. I was going to give you something homework to do, but I'm going to give this to you on Thursday, so that you'll have the weekend to do the homework. No? And this is all about punctuation. So I'll give it to you when you guys have an off day, man. Get it after church on Sunday afternoon and get it done.
Because I couldn't finish my assignment for yesterday because I was at work.
Yeah,
So when I just knock off, I just wrote maybe 3 or 4 sentences.
yeah. Okay, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. So yeah, we'll end class there tonight. We'll go on with some other things like styles of writing on Thursday, and then we'll start with what we have scheduled for Thursday. We will go on with our classes on Thursday. Because tomorrow evening is Bible study, so we won't be here tomorrow. Okay. Any questions or any comments that anybody want to share? Anything that you want to bring up, you can do so right now. Bruno, you still there? Okay, I'm sure let's see who she is.
Sorry, sir?
I'm just asking, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I've given you the printouts that we had for the class. I told Wisdom to make sure that you get those printouts, eh?
I did receive it. Thank you.
Okay, not a problem. And thank you for being in the class this evening again.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. All right. This is the words. I don't think we make it to the copies. Someone we can just ask Wisdom to make some extra copies, no? I'm not sure there's enough for everyone here. Those are all those commonly confused words, so that you keep in your file, keep it somewhere. If you not sure about a word, then you can just refer to that, and it will tell you exactly what is for what. No? Okay. If there aren't any other questions, then we're going to end the class right now, and I'm going to ask.
Want also weer, die gaan haar info misschien nog weer vragen.
Voor Diane het ik al klaar voor de vraag gevraagd. Maar Diane is daar. Maar Diane is daar weer. Ja, het is Diane, ne? Diane, die is iemand wat ons gister aangedoen het. Ne? Oké. En Diane is wat ons nou vanaand gedoen het. Hm? Ja, maar die vraag had ik willen donderdag geleerd, had ik willen vrouwen die keer. Huh? Ja. Oké. Ja, heeft u nog een vraag?
Ik zit hier uit,
Oké.
ik ben goed.
Ja. Oké, dat is geen probleem. Oké. I'm gonna ask Ilario if he's gonna have our closing prayer. And if there aren't any more questions, if you want to ask me something after class, I'll be here for another 5 minutes or so. Then you can ask me, and then we'll be dismissed as soon as Ilario goes us off for the prayer. Otherwise, thank you all for being here. The additional to the class. Yes. Exactly. Someone's else.
Ja. Ja, daar is het people.
Okay, then we'll go basing now. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments? Anybody?
Okay, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Like I am writing my IT number for 7/14. Is it a stroke or a slide or what?
When you write your ID number,
It's
you don't put anything in between, you just write the numbers down.
no.
So
the team will be right, like you just straight paste,
Oh, okay.
then you put something
Yeah.
like here.
Okay, like the dash. Yeah. Okay, so that's a dash in between. Okay. Yeah. So with our ID numbers in South Africa, we just write it out. It's your number. Yeah. It starts with your ID number always starts with your date of birth, right? So it'll be the year, the month, and the day, and then some other numbers that corresponds with, basically it's your number that corresponds with you. But there's nothing in between. There's no spaces, no lines, no dashes, nothing, no slashes, anything, or hyphens in between. But obviously in your country they do it differently.
Yeah, because the number becomes the district. If you are from Cape Town,
Okay.
yeah, they will pick
So that does still have a number.
yeah, because they know what they call Lake Cape Town.
Okay. Okay.
Slash over the Lake Cape Town.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's always best that you do it the way it's supposed to be done. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Yes, great. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for everything. Lord, I thank you so much that you make us wake up this today and come and live with us and to come and live the word of God. God, I pray if we need to protect us, let those who are traveling for drive safely. And all of us who go in, I ask you that you sleep with us tonight in Jesus' name. So Lord, without you, there's nothing to do. So that's us. We just thankful for the life that you gave us for our last life. Thank you so much that you gave only baby son just to come and die in Christ.
Yes.
We thank you so much. We thank you so much for the gift of life. In Jesus Christ's name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, all those online, we'll see you
Thanks,
on Thursday
everyone.
evening. Okay, bye,
Yes.
Bella.
Bye.